Welcome back to Story Mode. It's the year 2000 and the PlayStation 2 is about to launch in Japan. Games like Tekken Tag Tournament, Metal Gear Solid 2 and Gran Turismo 3 are going to launch on the system. I just had to get it. Welcome to the year 2000 once again. This time we're taking a look at movies, and what better movie to start off with than Tom Hanks in Castaway.
There you go! Line it up, come on!
We couldn't see Kevin Bacon in Hollow Man, Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men, Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator,
Meridius, commander of the armies of the North.
and one of my favourite comedies, Meet the Parents.
Carpentry? I guess I'd have to say Jesus. He was a carpenter, and I just figured if you're gonna follow in someone's footsteps, who better than Christ?
However, one of my biggest memories of 2000 was going to the cinema seeing American Psycho with the incredible Christian Bale.
On intangibility. At the same time, it deepens and enriches the meaning of the preceding three albums.
And while we're watching those movies in the cinema, there was a lot going on around the world. Hillary Clinton was elected to the US Senate representing New York. The final new Peanuts comic strip is produced in February 2000. The first Peanuts comic strip was produced on October 2nd, 1950. The Summer Olympics are held in Sydney, Australia.
Graham and Mary, this is a famous victory, a magnificent performance. What a legend, what a champion.
And finally, Sony releases the PlayStation 2 gaming console in Japan. It's the year 2000, the start of a new century. And for Sony, it's something big. Their second console, the PlayStation 2.
9月13日、噂の次世代ハード、プレイステーション2がついにそのベールを脱いだ。東京の全日空ホテルにマスコミやゲーム関係者を集め、発表会が行われたのだ。
Because I wasn't dealing in video games anymore, I couldn't get my PlayStation 2 early from Japan like I normally did. I called companies in Hong Kong and Japan, but unfortunately it was too late. Pre-orders have sold out. At the time, Mandy and I were ready to move into our own house. Well, it was my auntie's house. She sold the house, moved up to Queensland. My grandfather bought the house as an investment and is renting it fairly cheap to us. We worked extremely hard to save up money and get furniture for our new house. But my mind was on something else. It was on Gran Turismo 3 and the PlayStation 2. But how was it to get one? So one day I spoke to my good friend Rob and I asked him if he knew where I could get a Japanese PlayStation 2, and surprisingly he said yes, he was getting one in early as well. And that was from our mutual friend Red. Red was actually importing PlayStation 2s from Hong Kong, and we would have them within a week of the release date in Japan. Red did a lot of importing of video games from Hong Kong, mainly Silvers, which are copied PlayStation 1 games. But I had no idea he was bringing over hardware such as these PlayStation 2s. I called him straight away and ordered a PlayStation 2 for myself. He told me it'd be in 3 weeks after it's released in Japan. In the next few days, Mandy and I moved into the house. I was so happy. This is the very house I grew up in 1975. When my parents broke up, my mum moved in with my auntie. This was her house. Mum and I stayed here until 1982, until my mum had enough money to move out and get her own house. My grandfather said he'd sell the house cheap to Mandy and I if we fly right and work hard, which we pretty much were doing. He asked me if I had any plans for the future, and to be honest, and I said, yes, I do have a plan, but you're not going to love it. I want a Honda NSX and a huge video game collection, like the biggest in the world. So that way I could play any game, anytime I like. And of course, I want Mandy in my future, but that's obvious. Then he said to me, I've been hearing about this NSX ever since you're a teenager. Follow your dreams, Jop. Jop is my nickname, Joel Hopkins. J Hop Jop. Well, my mum called me it anyway. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Red, and he was actually living closer to Melbourne. He was actually in Melbourne because he was from far away. He called me up and said, your PlayStation 2 has just arrived. It was Saturday morning. I couldn't wait. I drove to his place and...
How are ya?
How are you, Red? I'm hanging for this PS2. The games I want is Gradius 3 and 4 Collection and Tekken Tag Tournament.
Oh, you love it. You want a drink?
I do. I'll have a glass of water.
Nancy, can we get a couple of glasses of water, please?
Brad, does he want a coffee?
Just water.
No, just water.
Wow, I'm wrapped in this system, Brad.
Wrapped as a present.
Do you mind if I come over next week and get some more games?
I don't mind it. It doesn't mind me.
I sped home, unpacked the PlayStation 2, and what did Mandy do when I was out? Cleaned the house, packed everything away, and had lunch ready for me so I could play the PlayStation 2 all day. The PlayStation 2 was incredible. I only had 2 games at the time. It's the only 2 I could get. Tekken Tag Tournament and Gradius 3 and 4. They were kind of the launch games at the time. And I think I played Gradius the most that day, Gradius 3 anyway. And then Mandy and I played Tekken Tag Tournament that night, all night to early hours of the morning. Months roll by and the software that's coming out on this PlayStation 2 was absolutely incredible. But I was waiting for Gran Turismo 3, which wouldn't come out until 2001. Now, I could go on forever about how good the PlayStation 2 library is. There were so many good games, especially at launch. So the next game I bought was Ridge Racer 5. Wow, this was incredible. I'm not the biggest Ridge Racer fan, but Ridge Racer 5 won me. Keeping with speed was SSX Tricky. Look, SSX was okay, but Tricky was the real deal. This game was incredible. The smoothness, the speed, it had everything. The bad thing was, Mandy was better at this game than me. Now it'd be in 2001 and my favourite 2 games would have to be Devil May Cry, a game from Capcom, a game I did not see coming. I have finished this game countless times and on S rating. A game that needs no introduction is Metal Gear Solid 2. This was again a favourite of mine on the PS2. I didn't really play Metal Gear Solid 1 on PS1, so this was an extra surprise. But being a car and video game fanatic, nothing was ever going to take the place of Gran Turismo 3. A game that has 180 different cars, and a game that will allow me to drive the Honda NSX as fast as I like on the world's best tracks. Yes, that's right, Gran Turismo 3 is much more than a game. It's an obsession. But that's another story.
No.